And what if everything you fear the most is exactly what's blocking the provision that's already on its way? This video did not reach you by accident. There's a right time for everything, and maybe today is the time for revelation. Because there's a subtle difference between having faith and living by faith, a difference between desire and trust. God has been speaking, even in the silence, and now He wants you to truly listen. You were guided here because there's a forgotten truth. Worry is an invisible prison, and the key to spiritual and financial freedom is in the now. Get ready to see faith from a new perspective. Get ready to understand how the kingdom of God is already acting not just out there, but inside of you. The journey that begins here may forever change how you understand success, purpose, and divine provision. And it all starts with one simple choice: stop worrying. There are moments when God's silence speaks louder than any noise around you. And if you are here, it's not a coincidence, it's a calling. Something inside you asked for clarity, direction, inner peace, and the answer has arrived. Maybe you felt an unexplained heaviness in recent days, as if something is about to shift. And it is, because when the universe conspires, it doesn't shout, it whispers. The soul understands. God doesn't choose the prepared. He prepares those He chooses. And your spiritual life, even in the shadows of doubt and comparison, is already being guided by divine wisdom that operates in the unseen. God's plan doesn't reveal itself all at once. It reveals itself in phases, in signs. In encounters like this, you are the mission, and now is the right time. Everything you need is already being placed on your path, including this message. Have you noticed how certain messages arrive at the exact moment you need them most? This is one of those, a reminder that you are more ready than you think. Not because of how you feel, but because of what you've endured, built, and silently persisted through. This video is more than words. It is presence being touched within you. And now something will open if you are willing to listen. If this touched your heart, like the video and comment below. I choose to live with clarity. This helps spread this message to more people who are also ready to hear. Financial anxiety, fear of the future, that tight feeling in the chest. All of it comes from a subtle belief that it's going to go wrong. And at its core, that is faith, just in the wrong direction. Napoleon Hill called fear faith and failure, a deep belief that the worst will happen. But if faith can move mountains, imagine what fear is silently moving. It pulls you away from your purpose, your now, your presence. Jesus said in Matthew 6:34, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself." There's divine wisdom in this invitation. He's calling us to live with intention, to trust the process, to surrender control. Because a worried mind lives in what doesn't exist yet and forgets that life only happens in the now. There's no harvest outside of time, and the time for faith is always today. When you focus excessively on the future, you miss the fact that God is already working in the present. It's like a gardener who plants a seed and, instead of watering, it keeps digging it up to see if the root has grown. That suffocates the seed. Anxiety works the same way, a mental block that prevents spiritual and material growth. It's not about being irresponsible, it's about trusting. Faith is the discipline to remain, even without seeing. There's a dangerous illusion many people carry, that worrying is a form of preparation. But worry is not planning. While planning is born from clarity of purpose, worry is born from fear. And fear, when nourished, becomes a thief. It silently slips through the window of your mind and steals peace, focus, faith, and often even your sleep. How many times have you lost precious moments, distracted by a future that hasn't even arrived? The coffee that goes cold on the Table, the hug you don't feel. The word that passes unnoticed, all because your mind is trapped in thoughts that produce nothing and only drain you. The present is where God dwells. It's where His plan unfolds. To live outside the now is to live outside of His presence. The future belongs to God, but the present He entrusted to you, and you have more power over it than you realize. When someone learns to rest in divine trust, they begin to notice small miracles unfolding in daily life. Opportunities that once went unnoticed, doors that open effortlessly, creative ideas that arise in stillness. Peace is not the absence of movement. It is conscious presence. The need to control everything is a burden many carry because they fear something will slip through their fingers. But control is an illusion. Faith, on the other hand, is real even when invisible. Jesus spoke of the birds of the air. They do not sow, reap, or store in barns, yet the Father feeds them. If He takes care of the birds, why would you doubt? He's also caring for you. Trusting isn't about ignoring reality, but about opening the eyes of your soul. It's realizing that God's plan is unfolding even when it seems like nothing is happening. In times of lack, it's normal to feel fear, insecurity, financial anxiety. But it's in those exact moments that divine trust must be strongest. Because provision comes to those who stay. Those who give up early never see the harvest. When someone releases control, something new begins to blossom. They start living with lightness, listening more and forcing less. Spiritual life aligns with prosperity when there is surrender. Sometimes what a person most desires is already on the way, but they themselves are blocking it by not trusting. The flow of abundance responds to trust, not to desperation. The soul knows this. It just needs you to remember. Desire is a creative force. Napoleon Hill called it definiteness of desire, but even fire, if uncontrolled, burns instead of illuminating. When someone wants something so badly that they obsess over it, they place it on a pedestal. And anything placed on a pedestal becomes distant from the essence. It becomes an idol. And idols, no matter how beautiful, bring attachment, comparison, anxiety, and sometimes even self-sabotage. Spiritual life and material growth flow when there is inner space. Attachment creates tension, and tension repels. It's like trying to hold water with closed hands. The tighter the grip, the more it slips away. Attachment says, if I don't get this, I won't be happy. Faith says, it's already on the way, and if it doesn't come, something better will. Letting go of control is wisdom. It allows abundance to flow with ease and trust in the right timing. Those who learn to desire with surrender attract with more clarity. Because detachment isn't indifference, it's spiritual maturity. It's knowing that your purpose doesn't depend on something external, but on your connection to God's presence within you. Prosperity with purpose only comes when there is faith in the process and freedom in the soul. Faith doesn't shout, it whispers, and attachment makes a lot of noise. Many still search outside for what can only be found within. They look for answers and formulas, external validation, and methods that promise success and peace. But don't touch the soul. Jesus was clear, the kingdom of God is within you. This means that everything you're working so hard to find already pulses inside you. Prosperity, purpose, clarity, wisdom. They're not distant goals. They're not distant goals. They're states of awareness. Imagine a traveler going around the world in search of a treasure, but forgetting to check his own pocket. That's how many live today, exhausted, frustrated, constantly comparing. Forgetting that true wealth with purpose begins in presence, and presence isn't reached by running. It's accessed through silence, stillness, and applied faith. It's in the now that God's plan reveals itself, never in the once this or that happens. Recognizing that the kingdom is within you dissolves financial anxiety, because you begin to realize you already carry the seeds of the harvest. Life's mission doesn't begin with something external. It begins with an inner awakening. The mind stops running. The soul begins to speak, and everything shifts. You begin to move with intention, with focus, with discipline. No longer as someone seeking something, but as someone living what already is. It's curious how many people spend their lives waiting for a great sign, a dramatic shift, a clear and immediate answer. But God rarely delivers fully grown trees. He plants seeds. The issue is that not everyone recognizes the seeds when they arrive. Sometimes, a simple idea, a small encounter, a modest opportunity are exactly the beginning of what you've been praying to live. Divine wisdom works in silence with nearly invisible steps. The seeds of prosperity, abundance, life purpose, they often arrive disguised as challenges, discomforts, invitations to patience. Those who only see the now through the lens of scarcity can't perceive that the harvest begins in the invisible. What looks small today may be the key to a future of financial freedom and spiritual growth. Imagine someone who receives a vision, a burning desire, powerful idea, but doesn't value it because they're expecting something bigger. That's like a farmer looking at a seed and saying, "This is nothing." But the one who has faith waters, protects, waits. They trust the process, and that trust turns the invisible into real fruit. What you're waiting for might already be here, just in seed form. And all it needs is your attention. Napoleon Hill: whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But first, you must believe as if it's already real. It's easy to have faith when everything is visible, but real growth happens when you remain faithful to what seems small, invisible, even insignificant to the world. God looks at the heart. He wants to know if you can maintain your discipline, your commitment, your clarity of purpose, even when the fruits have not yet appeared. The seed needs time. The harvest comes to the faithful, not to the impatient. Napoleon Hill taught us that when the mind conceives and believes in something, it can materialize it. But this takes conviction, consistency, persistence. A soul that lives waiting for the big moment might be wasting the power of now. Because it's in the now that you shape your future reality. Trusting the process begins with small acts. A step of faith, a wiser financial choice, a positive word in a moment of lack. Believing as if it's already real means living in the presence of the result before it shows up. It's visualizing clearly, giving thanks in advance. Acting as someone who already is, not out of pretense, but out of applied faith. God moves when you move. There's no miracle without movement. And the much you desire is already being formed from the little you honor today. Don't underestimate the invisible. That's where everything begins. There's a very common and limiting idea that only when everything is in place, money, time, recognition, will you finally begin to live your real purpose. But that's a trap of the mind. The mission is not something you find, it's something you live. It's already happening in what you do, with what you have, in the choices you make every day. People wait for the right moment, but the right moment is now. It's not about doing something grand, but doing what you already do with greatness. A caring gesture, an intentional act, a word that lifts someone up. All of that is mission. The soul doesn't wait for a stage. It moves in silence, guided by faith and clarity of purpose. God's calling begins with today's surrender. You don't need much to begin. You need decision and discipline. When you act like someone already on the path, the universe responds. God honors every step born out of trust. Prosperity and purpose are not opposites. They are paths that intertwined when you understand that serving God's plan is serving your own fulfillment. And that begins now. in the exact moment you recognize yourself as part of His plan. There's a simple, powerful story. A fish swims desperately, asking everyone where the ocean is. He searches and searches, unaware that he's already surrounded by it. That's how many live, searching for answers, success, purpose, without realizing they're already immersed in God's presence, opportunity, and abundance. External seeking might be just the reflection of an internal void, and that void is filled through awareness. Have you noticed how often you feel incomplete, even when everything seems to be in place? That's because you're searching outside for what only blooms inside. God's plan is not a distant place. It's a state of soul. Inner peace, true prosperity, clarity of purpose, all of it is inside. But it requires silence, attention, listening. Anxiety wants to rush. Faith invites you to stay. The mind shouts. God whispers. To realize you're already in the ocean is to realize the now is sacred. It's to understand you're already part of the plan. You're not late, you're not lost, you're in process. Spiritual and material growth happens when you stop seeking what already is and begin to live what you already have. Presence heals. The calling is already unfolding. You just need to notice the water around you. Many people live as if they were only flesh and bones, chasing what feeds the body, but forgetting what nourishes the soul. But the truth is, you're not here just to survive. You're here to fulfill, to transform, to live with intention. The body is important, yes, but it responds to the spirit. When your soul is aligned with purpose, material life adjusts naturally. The body feels what the soul carries. If there's fear, the body tenses. If there's faith, the body relaxes. If there's inner peace, decisions become clearer. When you understand that you are a soul on a journey, you begin to hear a deeper voice inside, a divine wisdom that guides, corrects, and reveals. Spiritual life starts to guide your money, your choices, your actions, your relationships. Everything flows from the inside out. That's why it's pointless to accumulate external wealth if there's emptiness within. Prosperity without meaning is just illusion. But when the Spirit leads, even what is simple becomes powerful. You begin to attract what aligns with your calling. There's no need to prove anything to anyone. You simply live the truth already, written in your soul. And when that happens, life responds with abundance. Some people believe faith means a life without struggles, but that's not true. Faith doesn't avoid storms. It sustains the boat through the wind. True faith is what keeps calm when everything is uncertain. It's when fear knocks at the door, but you choose not to answer. It's the daily decision to trust in God's care, even when His silence seems too long. Inner peace is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of conviction. Even in the middle of chaos, some walk with serenity, not because everything is fixed, but because they trust the one guiding the journey. Mature faith understands that God's plan doesn't always follow our timing, but it follows a perfect logic. And those who learn to rest in divine trust experience the lightness of living without anxiety. The peace that comes from God is like an inner shelter. While the winds outside change, inside there's a clarity that doesn't shake. That's why people who live by faith have a glow in their eyes, even on hard days. They know the process refines, it doesn't destroy. And it's within that process that the true power of the mind, surrender, and presence is revealed. The struggle isn't the end, it's part of the shaping. Jesus said that to enter the kingdom of God, one must become like a child. But what does that really mean? A child doesn't try to control everything. They don't calculate tomorrow. They simply trust. Trust that they'll eat, play, that someone will care for them. And that purity of trust is what often gets lost in adulthood, replaced by anxiety, doubt, comparison, and fear of failure. A child doesn't need to understand everything in order to believe. That is faith. but we often want to understand every detail before trusting. We want safety, guarantees, results before even acting. But the kingdom of God doesn't work that way. It requires surrender, a heart that believes without seeing, that takes steps without knowing the full path. That is the secret of divine wisdom, to walk by the light of trust, not the logic of control. Returning to simplicity is an act of courage. It means letting go of excess, of attachments, of running after answers, and beginning to live with intention, lightness, and focus on the now. Spiritual and financial abundance shows up more powerfully when you trust like a child with sincere faith, joy in the process, and confidence in God's care. Because in that simplicity lies true strength. There's a belief that traps many souls, the idea that you need to be accepted by others to begin, waiting for applause, validation, recognition. But God's calling doesn't depend on public approval. He chose you with intention. And when God calls, He equips. You don't need to fit in. You only need to be faithful to the voice that moves you from within, even if no one around you understands. Every time you seek approval outside, you weaken the divine trust that's already been planted in you. It's like doubting the Creator who formed you. You were designed with purpose. The experiences you've had, the gifts you carry, even the wounds, all of that is part of the path that brought you here. Comparison is a silent poison. But when you connect to your essence, you realize no one else needs to understand. Just you and God. Your life mission isn't about pleasing others, it's about serving. Serving with presence, with soul, with clarity of purpose. And when you live that truth, abundance follows because the universe responds to authenticity. Don't be afraid to stand in your truth, to say yes to what moves you and no to what doesn't represent you. You were called for something great, and you're already prepared, even if the world hasn't noticed yet. This question isn't rhetorical, it's a mirror. How many times have you delayed your life waiting for the right moment? Held back dreams, swallowed words, paused plans. All in the name of a future that never arrives. The soul gets tired. Because it knows, happiness doesn't live in the later. It manifests in the now. God's presence is here, not in some distant place. Real life happens in this moment, and you're already in it. The mind, when fed by financial anxiety and scarcity, convinces you that it's not time yet. But the truth is, God's timing is always now, because it's in the now that you feel, choose, plant, and change. Every day you postpone your calling, you're letting a part of yourself suffocate. Faith isn't just believing in tomorrow, it's living today like you already know God is moving. So pause, breathe. Feel where you are right now is not a mistake, it's an exact point in your process. Maybe everything you're searching for is already inside, like a seed that only needs attention. The decision is in your hands. Will you wait longer? Or will you begin to live now with intention, clarity, and divine trust? If this resonated with you, like the video, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe to the channel. And comment below, I'm ready to build my new reality. You're not here by accident. This message was a reminder that the now is enough, that God is already moving, and that your new reality begins when you choose to live with clarity. It's not about waiting for everything to change on the outside. It's about allowing something to change on the inside. Living by faith is a daily decision. It's looking at chaos and choosing peace. It's facing fear with presence. It's building your prosperity with purpose, even in small steps. You don't have to understand everything. You just need to trust that God's plan is in motion, even when your eyes can't yet see. If this touched your soul, like the video, share it with someone who needs this light, and subscribe to the channel to continue this journey. And comment below, I'm ready to build my new reality. That's more than a gesture. It's a commitment to your awakening. Believe. This, what you live by faith today, transforms what you will harvest tomorrow. Just trust. Now is already now.